Allahu, 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 Allah, Allahu, 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 Allah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Innal hamdalillah nahmaduhu nasta'inuhu nastaghfiruhu wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa sayyiati a'malina. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم على نبيك محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. We stopped at the point where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had ordered his companions, his ashab or sahaba, to migrate to Medina, and most of them had left, and very few of them still remained in Medina. It was him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Abu Bakr and Ali. Those were the main notable ones who were left behind. And some of the Muslims, men, women, and children who are weak or sick or didn't have the means to go to Medina. Those are the only people who are left. Everybody else, they had migrated from Mecca to Medina. And until now, those of you who have been coming to the lectures of the Seerah, you understand why. You understand why the Muslims, they had to leave Mecca to go to Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ, was it his choice to go to Medina? Why not Jeddah? Why not Najran? Why not Quds? No, it was not his choice. This was what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose. As he said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Inni uritu daru hijratikum. I have been shown the place where you are going to migrate to. I have been shown, meaning Allah showed it to him. In one narration in Sahih al-Bukhari, he said, Dhatu nakhla. It is a land of a lot of palm trees, dead palm trees. فذهبت وهلي أنها الحجر ولكنها يثرب المدينة. I thought it is Hajar. One narration says Juhfa, but it is not that. In fact, it is Yathrib, which he called sallallahu alaihi wasallam al-Madina. So the choice of the land where the Muslims are migrating to is from Allah. And we discussed in the last lectures why Allah chose Medina, because of its strategic position and other reasons. And Allah had prepared the people of Medina, the inhabitants of Medina. Sometimes in English, like in our book, raheequl makhtum, we call them the Madanis. The Madanis, meaning people from Medina. Whatever pronoun you want to put for them, Madanis, Madinian, whatever it is. The people of Medina, they used to be so much into fighting between themselves. The two main tribes of Medina were who? The Aus and the Khazraj. They were also known Banu Qayla. They were known as Banu Qayla because Aus and Khazraj, they're actually two brothers. And their mother was called Qayla, from the greater tribe of Azd. Everybody who's Ansari, Madani, from Aus and Khazraj is Azdi. So at the end of the day, they used to fight a lot, but they were brothers, they were related. They fought so much until they said, no more fighting now. What are we fighting for? And that is the final battle, the bigger one, is the battle of Bu'ath. The battle of Bu'ath, we discussed this. Allah guided a few of them to Islam. And those few, they gave da'wah to a few. They came during the Hajj season to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was the only time they could speak to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. because he was being persecuted, tortured. They had put sanctions on him. They used to terrorize the Prophet ﷺ and his companions. So he spoke to them during Hajj, and that is what we call what? The first pledge of Al-Aqaba, Bay'atul Aqabatil Ula, the first time they met at Aqaba. There was 6 of them or 8 of them. Who can remind me? Was it 6 or 8? I think Shaykh Munir will remind me. 7? No, it was either 6 or 8. I remember it was 6 of them. Because next year when they came back after 1 year, it was now 12 of them. And those are called the Nuqaba. There were 12 of them now. They met the Prophet ﷺ during Hajj season at the same place, Al-Aqaba. And they pledged the allegiance now. They said, now we are ready to defend you. Now you can leave Makkah where you cannot practice your Islam, you and the Muslims, and you can come to us. We'll defend you in Medina. And the Prophet ﷺ was with his uncle Al-Abbas. And he said to them, do you know what you're doing? We are still his uncles, we can protect him. They said, no, he is one of us now. And then one of them said, relax, you know what you're doing actually? And one of them said, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of Allah, actually if we take you and then Allah gives you strength, are you going to leave us and come back to Makkah? And the Prophet ﷺ said, La, bal uharibu man harabtum. I will fight those you fight. And my family is your family. My people are your people. And they gave him the pledge of allegiance, as in the hadith of Ubadah ibn Samit radiyallahu anhu. And that is when the Muslims were told, now you can go to Medina, now you have a home. And they said, O Messenger of Allah, send to us a man who can teach us our religion. So the Prophet ﷺ sent to them who? Mus'ab bin Umayr radiyallahu anhu, and after Mus'ab, Abdullah ibn Maktum, who was a blind man. And Islam started to spread. And we saw how Mus'ab used to do da'wah. Until some of the chiefs, As'ad bin Zurara, Sa'ad ibn Rabi', Sa'ad bin Mu'adh, they all became Muslim. Until there was no house in Medina, except that everyone was Muslim, or at least there was one Muslim. Now this is just in few months. In few months, Islam spread more than it did in 13 years in Makkah. And the Muslims started to live individual, those who walked, those who rode their animals. They left their land, they left their houses, they left their properties for Allah. And that is the meaning of Hijrah, like we discussed last time. You migrate, you leave one place where you cannot practice Islam properly, to go to another place so you can practice your deen properly. Because your iman and my iman is the most valuable thing. Money, Allah will replace it. A house, Allah will replace it. We saw, in fact, even some of them left their own families, as in the story of Abu Salama and Salama and Salama, who was a young child. Remember the story? When they stopped them, the two tribes started to fight. Abu Salama, he left and went to Medina. And then Salama left after almost 6 months or 1 year. So the Muslims had left. When the Sanadid, the main criminals, the main terrorists of the Quraysh, Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab, Umayyah bin Khalaf and the rest, when they saw this, now they were shocked. Now they were terrified, in fact. Islam has a place now. It has a place where it can grow. And all of them have left except very few individuals. We need to do something. So they called an emergency meeting at the place called Darun Nadwa, which was the house of Qais ibn Kilab. And all of them were there. And they started to do what? To deliberate, to talk. What are we going to do? Before they started though, a man appeared, a gentleman, elderly man. And they said, who are you? He said, Shaykh min Najd. I am a Shaykh min, an elderly man from Najd. I heard about what is happening with you in Mecca. Meaning the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is causing problems. And I heard about your meeting today, so I came to participate. وَلَا أَعْدِمُكُمْ رَأْيًا وَنُصْحًا. In me, you will not be deprived of good counsel. So if you want me to join, I'll join and give you good counsel. And that Shaykh was Iblis, Shaitan. He had come in the form of a human being. And they said, come in, marhaban. They sat and they started to talk. This is all a recap, so I'm going to fast forward now. One of them said, what should we do? He said, let's just lock Muhammad in his house, lock all the doors. It's called house arrest today. Some of them said, what? Let us just banish him to another country, exile, forced exile. And our problems will be solved. Wherever he goes, that's their problem now. And they said, no, this won't work, that won't work. Until Abu Jahl spoke. And he said, if you want to solve the situation, I feel we should choose from every tribe of the Quraysh a young, strong man. And they should go and wait for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then strike him to death with their swords. When we do that, Banu Hashim, the tribe of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they cannot fight all of us. They will be forced to ask us for the diya, the ransom money, and we'll give it to them. When he said that Shaykh, Iblis, he said, هذا الرأي الرجل. This man has brought the best opinion. We should kill him. And that is what they all agreed. And they chose from each tribe of theirs a young man who's going to go to do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us about this in Surah Al-Anfal, which is chapter number 8, verse number 30. وَإِذْ يَمْكُرُ بِكَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِيَقْتُلُوكَ أَوْ يُخْرِجُوكَ أو ليثبتوك. وإذ يمكر بك الذين كفروا ليثبتوك أو يقتلوك أو يخرجوك ويمكرون ويمكر الله والله خير الماكرين. And when those who are disbelievers, they plotted either to do what? To banish you outside, exile you, or to imprison you in your house, or to kill you. And they plotted and planned, and Allah is the best of those who plot and plan. Allah informed His Prophet ﷺ, this is what they have agreed. Now it's your time to leave. And we said before this, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he had tried so many times to leave, do Hijrah, and the Prophet ﷺ said to him, Ala rislika ya Abu Bakr. No, wait. Inni arju an yu'dhan li. I hope that soon I'll be given permission. And he'll say, I'll go with you. He'll say, yeah, maybe you'll go with me. And that is the only reason which held back Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. So the Prophet ﷺ was finally gave permission, but they had decided to kill him now. Now this is where we restart our story today, or our seerah. They chose from every tribe one man. And they said, we're going to wait for Muhammad. And I'm transmitting what they said. But we said, it is not from the adab, the manners of a Muslim, to call our Prophet Muhammad. No. That is su'ul adab, that is bad manners. His own wives never called him by his personal name, Muhammad. And you know your wife, she can call you whatever she wants, right? You know that, those of you who are married. Yeah, first 1 month, 2 months, where are you? It's all nice, hi, baby, darling, whatever. Wait until 1, 2 years. If she calls you by Abu Fulan, Alhamdulillah. Yeah. My point is, that's just natural, by the way. When you live with someone for a very long time, some respect is lost. Not in a bad way, it's just natural. But his own wives, none of them used to say, Ya Muhammad. No, they say, Ya Rasulullah. Imagine. It is not befitting for me and you to say, oh, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said this. No, you say, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I'm transmitting what they said. They said, oh, when Muhammad gets up to go to pray, because they know the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam wakes up before Fajr or during Fajr. When he leaves his house, that is when we're going to strike him, all of us together, and kill him. That is the plan they had. But Allah revealed the verse, this verse in Surah Al-Anfal, verse number 30. And Allah told the Prophet ﷺ, this is what they have planned. And Jibreel came down to the Prophet ﷺ and he said to the Prophet ﷺ, now you have been given permission to migrate. And the Prophet ﷺ said to Jibreel, should I go alone or with someone? And this is a hadith which is Hasan. And Jibreel said to him, la, you have to go with Abu Bakr. You have to go with Abu Bakr. I'm giving you the story narrative of it so you can enjoy it. And then we'll read after, as usual. So the Prophet ﷺ, he left his house to go and inform Abu Bakr. As in the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha in Sahih al-Bukhari, she said the Prophet ﷺ used to visit us morning and evening. Morning and evening. But that day he came sallallahu alaihi wasallam ala dhahira. Dhahira is just after noon. Noon. Midday, just after that. And that is when the sun is the hottest. And he came, he did not come as his usual time. His clothing was not usual also. He was covering his head. He was covering his head. He was hiding. Why was he hiding? We know by now. Because they wanted to kill him. So we told Abu Bakr, the Prophet ﷺ is here. And he said, may my mother and father be ransomed for him. This is a time he never comes. Something must have happened. I will stop here and ask you, why would the Prophet ﷺ visit Abu Bakr's house morning and evening? Yalla, quickly, so I can continue my story. Quickly. Why would he do that? No. Why does he have to visit them 2 times of the day? Huh? Whose daughter? Explain yourself. I'm asking, why did the Prophet ﷺ used to be his custom? Every day he'd visit Abu Bakr's house, morning and evening. But today, he went during midday. And they said, this is not usual. It's not his time to come. I'm asking you, why did he go every day at those times? Maybe to pray together. That's a good version of it. You guys don't know that Abu Bakr is his best friend? Isn't that a good reason maybe? Naam? Very good, because that is the house of his wife, Aisha radiallahu anha. Remember, they're married already. Remember, I wanted to bring that to you back. At this moment, they're married already. They did the aqd, the contract. They did not just meet physically, but they're already married. And the Prophet ﷺ is also married to who now? Now he has 2 wives. Aisha and who? Huh? And Sauda bint Zam'a radiallahu anha. So he would go to visit. He's not going to a strange house. Do you understand? He's going to the house of his best friend and his father-in-law, in fact. The house of his wife. So when he went at that time, they said, this is not his normal timing. Why is he coming at this time? And he's covered his head. When the Prophet ﷺ entered, he said to Abu Bakr, take everyone out. I need to speak to you privately, just me and you. It's a serious time. Muslims are being killed. Now they want to kill him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's serious. It's not a joke. We have to understand the amount of pressure, torture, problems the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through. I said here a few times, various times, what we are going through today, it doesn't come close to what they suffered. Yeah, we are suffering. I'm not saying us. We live in peace and good life, alhamdulillah. The Muslims in Syria and Iraq and other places, they're suffering. But we have to understand what the Prophet ﷺ and his ashab, what they suffered is far more greater. He said, take everyone out. And Abu Bakr said, Ya Rasulullah, innahum hum ahluk. These are only your family, and this is just family, nobody else is here. It's just Abu Bakr and his wife Ruman, the mother of Aisha and Asma and Abdullah ibn Abu Bakr. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, Innahu qad udhina li. Now I have been given permission to go. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he said in one narration, As-sahaba ya Rasulullah, of your riwayah, As-suhba ya Rasulullah, I am going with you. And he said, Naam. He said, yes. Fabaka Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr started to cry. Aisha radiallahu anha, who at this age is 7 or 8, she said, وَمَا كُنْتُ أَحْسِبُ أَنَّ الرَّجُلْ يَبْكِي عَلَى فَرَحٍ. I never thought, she's 7 or 8 years old, she said, I never thought someone cries because they're happy. Abu Bakr cried because he was happy. Allah has chosen him to accompany his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahu Akbar. And then today, Shi'atul Rafida, they want to say to you, Abu Bakr was this and that. When he said that, Abu Bakr said, O Messenger of Allah, I have 2 of the best camels. And he had purchased those camels before. And he was preparing them for 4 months. I have 2 of the best camels. One is yours, one is mine. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said to him, Bithaman. Not for free, I have to buy it. He said, what? Not for free, I'm going to buy that camel. We'll come back, like I said, we'll read the hadith, all of them, and we discuss the benefits we get from it. Now I just want to tell you a story. So the Prophet ﷺ, he returned to his house. He went and found Ali radiallahu anhu. And he informed Ali radiallahu anhu that I have been given permission to do Hijrah now. You have a role to play. What you will do is that tonight, you are going to sleep in my bed. And you're going to cover yourself with the same comforter I cover myself in. Because they used, the Quraysh, they would come at night and look at the Prophet's house and throw stones at him, even while sleeping. And Ali radiallahu anhu, who's a young man, very young man, not even 20, or just 20, he was given that task. Imagine there's people who are going to come and kill whoever is sleeping in that bed tonight. The Prophet ﷺ, he put Ali there. When nightfall came, Ali, he went and slept on that bed and covered himself. The Prophet ﷺ, he went and found a man who's an expert in the routes, in the ways. His name is called Abdullah ibn Urayqit. Abdullah ibn Urayqit. And this man is not a Muslim. He was not a Muslim. And don't ask me why is his name Abdullah and he's not a Muslim. We talked about the father of the Prophet ﷺ. His name was Abdullah, and there was no Islam yet. Because the Quraysh, the Arabs, they knew Allah. But they also had 360 idols. The Prophet employed the man who's going to take them to Medina in this dangerous situation. And that man was not a Muslim. But kana ameen. He was someone trustworthy. They could trust him. His name is who? Abdullah ibn Urayqit. And they gave him those 2 camels. They gave him those 2 camels. The camels which they're going to ride to Medina to. And the Prophet ﷺ, he left with Abu Bakr. The same night the Quraysh, they gathered their 8 or 12 people and they went and laid siege on the house of the Prophet ﷺ, waiting for the hour to strike. As they were there, Abu Lahab, he was walking, or Abu Jahl, one of them, he was walking with pride, Abu Jahl. He said, Muhammad is telling us, if we follow him, we're going to open the castles of Qisra and Qaisar, the Romans and the Persians, and we're going to rule over everybody. Today we're going to kill him. How are we supposed to follow him? And as was their custom, they used to throw stones at the Prophet ﷺ when he was sleeping. But today they noticed whenever they threw stones, the man who was sleeping, covering himself, used to move. And they say, this is strange, because when the Prophet ﷺ, before that, when they used to throw stones, he would never move. So they sense something is wrong. Now here there's a narration which most of the scholars, if not all, they say it's not authentic. But we'll mention it for the sake of a story. And that is when the Prophet ﷺ was ready. He was in the house actually. He stepped out of the house and Allah made those people who were sitting there blind. Meaning Allah blocked their vision. And he walked out. And while he was walking out, he was reading Surah Yasin. Specifically the verse which says, وَجَعَلْنَا مِن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. And we put in front of them and behind them a barrier, and we made them blind, they could not see. And he took sand, the Prophet ﷺ, and he put it in the head of each one of them. In each one of them. Now this narration, like I said, most of the scholars, they said it's not authentic. Lakin Allahu A'lam, numashiha, we go with it. And he left sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When they regained consciousness, they saw there was sand on them. When they looked inside, they saw the man was still sleeping though. Not knowing that was who? Ali ibn Abi Talib. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam left and Abu Bakr followed him. Makkah, as it is today, in relation to Medina, Makkah is here, Medina is here. So if you're going to Medina, you have to be going north. You have to be going north. But the Prophet ﷺ, he did not go north. He went south. He went south. And he was walking, and he walked around 5 miles. 5 miles. To the place or the mountain called Mountain of Hira? No. Thawr. It is called Thawr. And there they took shelter in the cave, which is called the cave of Thawr. Because the small mountain or the mountain is called Thawr. So that was one of the first steps in the immaculate planning of the Prophet ﷺ. He did not go north because it's just obvious. They're going to try find him. They'll see that he's not in his house. They'll go north. That is the way to Medina. Right or wrong? So he went south. All of us know the story. He went in the cave, but that's where the cave is. It's south of Mecca. He went there and he hid in the cave. Him and Abu Bakr. They continued throwing stones. They say, this person is moving. Until they say, you know what, let's just go in. When they went in and removed the comfort or the blanket, they saw Ali ibn Abi Talib. And they told him, إِنَّكَ لَلَئِيمٌ, you are someone blameworthy. Your friend, when he used to sleep with through stones, he'll never move. But you are moving. We knew that something is wrong. Where is he? And they started to beat Ali ibn Abi Talib. He said, I don't know where he went. I don't know where he went. And of course they panicked. Because their mission has failed. Their plan has failed now. So they went right away to the house of Abu Bakr. Where's Abu Bakr? They said, we don't know where he is. And Abu Jahl, because you're someone with kibr, he slapped Asma bint Abu Bakr. He slapped her so hard that her earring fell off her ear. And they announced in the whole of Mecca that Muhammad has left. Everybody should go out to look for him. All their warriors and all their trackers, people who could track, everybody went out. And they announced, anybody who brings them, dead or alive, will get 100 camels. One camel, a camel is the most precious belonging to an Arab. At least those Arabs. I don't know about you guys today, man. Don't say, oh Sheikh, I don't like camels. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about those Arabs. I'm joking. Don't take offense, you know. Some of you like, look at me like, oh, you got a problem with Arabs. No, I don't have a problem with Arabs, man. The camel is the most precious of any of their belongings. Better than a house, better than gold. 100 camels, you are super rich. It's like saying today 100 Teslas, 100 Ferraris, 100 private jets. So everyone who could, they went out. Bring them dead or alive. And there's two of them, so those are 200 camels. That is why the Prophet ﷺ, he went south and he went into that cave and he took refuge in the cave. When they went in, before they went in, Abu Bakr said to the Prophet ﷺ, stop, you don't go. I will go first and check. Maybe there's something in the cave. And he looked and there was nothing in the cave. And he told the Prophet ﷺ, go ahead. And they went in. It's a cave. There's no lights in a cave. There's no cushions and carpet. It's a cave, imagine. At night, they went in and they were hiding there. And the Quraysh, they scattered all of their troops looking for them. And the other plan the Prophet ﷺ had made. So they looked for them. Obviously, they went north. They could not find the Prophet ﷺ. How many days and nights did the Prophet ﷺ spend in this cave? 3 days and nights. Three. At night, the young boy, Abdullah ibn Abu Bakr, Abdullah, the son of Abu Bakr, he would come and spend the night with them. And sometimes bring them food. But before that, now we speak about Abu Bakr's version of the story. That was the Prophet ﷺ. Abu Bakr, he had offered those 2 camels. The Prophet ﷺ said, no, not for free. I will buy mine from you. When he told his family and they knew that now they are leaving, they prepared food for them. They're going on a journey and they have to hide. And while they were wrapping the food in the leather containers, if you want to call them that. When they were tying the food, they ran out of material to tie the containers. So Asma bint Abi Bakr, she took her belt, which is like a belt, but it's like cloth. And she cut that in two, and she covered those containers of food. That belt or waist cloth is called an-nitaq. That is why Asma, she's known as Dhatun Nitaqain, the one who had two waist cloths. They sacrificed everything. Abu Bakr, when he left, he took all of his wealth. Everything he had in money, gold and silver, he took everything. He took everything. He did not leave everything behind. Abdullah bin Abu Bakr, now the son of Abu Bakr, he used to come to them at night in the cave. And he'd inform them, this is what the Quraysh they said today, this is what they planned today, this is what so-and-so did today. And just before Fajr, he'll return to Makkah and sleep in their home. So nobody can think that he was up to something. At night, he would come back. That is Abdullah bin Abu Bakr. In the daytime though, we mentioned this name before. Amir ibn Fuhayra. Who remembers the name? Amir ibn Fuhayra. If you remember when the Muslims were being tortured the first days, especially the slaves, like who? The slaves like who? Like Bilal. Amir bin Fuhayra was a slave. And because he was Muslim, they used to torture him. And Abu Bakr bought him, just like Bilal. We mentioned his name before. Abu Bakr bought him. Remember, Abu Bakr's father, Abu Quhafa, came and said, what is wrong with you? You buy all these slaves and then you let them free. And they are weak anyways. And he said, no, I don't buy them for me. I buy them for Allah. Amr bin Fuhayra, he used to be the shepherd of Abu Bakr. He used to take care of Abu Bakr's animals. So in the morning, because they had shepherds, nobody can suspect a shepherd. He would go out and he'd bring the animals close to the cave and he'll give them milk. The Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr. And he'd sit with them until the evening, then he'd come back to Makkah with his animals. In the evening, Abdullah bin Abu Bakr will leave and come to the cave and tell them what is happening. For 3 nights, that's what happened. Do you see the family of Abu Bakr and Abu Bakr, how great they are in Islam? Himself, Allah chose him. His daughter who's preparing the food. His animals are the ones they rode with. His son is the one who's coming at night. His shepherd is the one who's coming during daytime. That is why nobody can touch Abu Bakr in Islam. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ma nafa'ani malu ahadin, ma nafa'ani mal Abu Bakr." No one's wealth has benefited me more than Abu Bakr. 3 nights and days they were in the cave. Until the 3rd night, now the Quraysh, they had been looking north. There's nothing at north. They came south. And that is when they climbed the mountain. And they were so close to the cave. Abu Bakr, he was scared. You'd be scared 1,000,000 times more than Abu Bakr. I'd be scared. And he was not scared for himself. He was scared for the Prophet ﷺ. As Shaykh Ali at-Tantawi rahimahullah, he said, this was the defining moment. If the Prophet ﷺ was killed, that would have been darkness for this world until the end of the world. And if he was saved, that is the light which Allah brought of Islam, because now it's going to migrate to Medina and Islam is going to spread until the day of judgment. Abu Bakr was scared. He said, "O Messenger of Allah, لو أن أحدهم, if only one of them looked under his feet, لأبصرنا, they will see us." And the Prophet ﷺ, he held him, he said, لا تحزن إن الله معنا. Don't fear. Allah is with us. And he said to him, يا أبا بكر ما ظنك باثنين الله ثالثهما. What do you think of 2 people? Allah is the 3rd of them. Allahu Akbar. And that is what about Allah revealed, Surah At-Tawbah, chapter number 9, verse number 40. إِلَّا تَنْصُرُوهُ فَقَدْ نَصَرَهُ اللَّهُ. If you do not help and aid this messenger, Allah has helped him. إِذْ أَخْرَجَهُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. When the kuffar, the disbelievers, had taken him out of Makkah. ثَانِيَ اثْنَيْنِ, the one of the two. إِذْ هُمَا فِي الْغَارِ, when both of them were in the cave. إِذْ يَقُولُ لِصَاحِبِهِ, when he said to his friend, لَا تَحْزَنْ, don't be scared, don't be frightened. إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَنَا, Allah is with us. فَأَنزَلَ سَكِينَتَهُ عَلَيْهِ. Allah brought down the sakina, peace of mind, tranquility, calmness. وَأَيَّدَهُ بِجُنُودٍ لَمْ تَرَوْهَا. And Allah gave him victory by the troops which you cannot see. Allah made them blind. They could not even see under their feet. Allah says, وَجَعَلَ كَلِمَةَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا السُّفْلَى. The word of kufr, always, it is under, below, beneath, lowly. وَكَلِمَةُ اللَّهِ هِيَ الْعُلْيَا. And the word of Allah, La ilaha illallah, is always on top. He said to him, don't be afraid. La tahzan, don't be scared. Allah is with us. Allahu Akbar. What do you think of two people, Abu Bakr? Allah is the third of them. Allah is the third of them. And they did not see them. They did not see them. Now here also, there is that story. The story that in the opening of the cave, right in the beginning of the cave, the pigeon, the dove, had come and laid its eggs. That story is not authentic. And then there's another story that the spider, Ankabut, it had come and put its web. Now that story is authentic. Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, in Fath al-Bari, he said it is good, it's an authentic story, good story. Ibn Kathir in Bidayah wa Nihaya, and others. Allah made a spider make its web in the mouth of the cave. Nobody has come in if the web is still there. It's obvious, right? Because the web is very delicate. Have you ever seen an actual spider web? Those of you born in Canada, where do you see that? In the zoo, probably. You haven't seen that. I used to play with that in Africa. Alhamdulillah. When the spider's not there, though. A web, Allah says in the Quran, actually, وَإِنَّ أَهْوَنَ الْبُيُوتِ لَبَيْتُ الْعَنْكَبُوتِ. Surah Al-Ankabut. There's a whole surah called the Surah of the Spider. The web is so delicate. You do this, all of it crumbles. So if someone went in this cave, there could not have been a web here. You understand? So when they saw that, and then they cannot even see them, they're inside, they said, they cannot be here. So they left. When they left, that was the third day. Now they had the appointment with Abdullah bin Urayqit, who was the guide. And he was not a Muslim, I want to emphasize that. Now he came with their two camels. And both of them were on their camels, and he had his camel, and Amir bin Fuhayra had his camel. Many of us, we don't know that Amir bin Fuhayra, he was there for the whole trip actually. Yes. That is why you have to know these Sahaba, they're great people. He used to be there helping them, serving them. Instead of going north again, they went south. And then they made a turn to the west. And then when they were close to the Sahil, the coastline of the Red Sea. You know, Saudi Arabia has a long coastline with the Red Sea, right? Right or wrong? You know your geography, right? Yes. Now they went north. Now they went north. And if you read in the book, they mention exact locations they passed. This village and that village and that village and that village. And on their way, some things happened. How much time do we have left? وَلَا الْيَوْمَ مَفْتُوحٌ until midnight. No, man, it's like minus, 65 outside? It's cold here, man. We'll finish in 9 o'clock, right? 9 o'clock. It's more than enough. Now they went north. And on their trip, a few things happened which we're going to mention now. One of the first things which was happening, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he used to ride in front of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he used to go to behind him. Then he used to go in front. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Malak ya Abu Bakr, what's wrong with you?" He said, "Are you scared?" He said, "I'm scared for you, ya Rasulullah. Adhkuru talab. I remember the pursuance, people who coming from behind. So I go behind. ثم أذكر الرصد. And then I remember people may be ambushing us, they're waiting for us. So I go in front of you, like that." Allah. Look how much he loved his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. While they were going, one time they became hungry. And they saw a shepherd boy. Abu Bakr asked him, "Do you have any milk?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Will you give us milk?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Who do you work for?" And he mentioned a man from the Quraysh. Abu Bakr, he knew him. And then the boy said, "Who are you though?" He asked the Prophet ﷺ. And he said to him, "Are you going to keep it a secret?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Ana Muhammadun Rasulullah. I am Muhammad, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam." They milked the sheep and he believed, he gave his shahada right there. They went on, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr, under the leadership of Abdullah ibn Urayqit and Amir bin Fuhaira, who was serving them. When they were passing the areas of Banu Mudlij, the tribe of Mudlij, someone spotted something. So he came back to this village, if you want to call it town, and he said, "I saw people traveling, and I only think it is Muhammad and his friend." Imagine, not only in Mecca, the word has reached Mudlij that Muhammad and his friend, anybody who gets them 100 camels for each of them, everybody's looking for them. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The man who was there, this hadith is in Sahih al-Bukhari. His name is Suraqah ibn Malik. Suraqah ibn Malik. He was a smart man. When he heard that, he knew that yes, this was them. They played a great trick. They took that highway. The highway near the coastline. That is unusual. Can only be them. So he said, no, that's not them. That's other people, Fulan and Fulan. They told me they're going out. He was not a Muslim yet. But we say radiallahu anhu because he's going to become Muslim after. He left, he went to his house, and he was one of the warriors. Suraqah was known to be a warrior. He said to his servant girl, "Prepare my horse and my weapons." 200 camels. Allahu Akbar. She prepared. And before he left, he took out his azlam. Azlam is the plural of zalam. Azlam is the stick of the arrow. You know the arrows you shoot? The arrows. But without the sharp end. Without the actual weapon, the sharp end. The azlam, they used to be sticks. The Arabs, they used to believe in this. They would put 3 or 4 of them. One is written good, one is written bad, one is neutral. If you want to get married, you want to go on a trip, you want to do business, you mix the azlam in the quiver and you take one of them out. If it says good, then that's a good marriage, good business, good travel. If it says bad, they don't do it. That was one of the aqaid al-fasida, the evil beliefs they had. Islam came to remove that. We'll discuss that. Allah says, إِنَّمَا الْأَنصَابُ وَالْأَجْسَامُ إِنَّمَا الْخَمْرُ وَالْمَيْسِرُ إِنَّمَا الْخَمْرُ وَالْمَيْسِرُ wal-ansab, wal-azlam. This is azlam. Rijsun min amali shaitan. It is nasty from the work of the shaitan. Anyway, he did his azlam thing. He took out the arrow. It says, bad. Don't go. But just like any other kafir, with money is the God for them. Even if they know they're going to die, money is there, they're just going to do it. He said, no, I'm still going, man. 200 camels. And he left. He went. When he got to the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr, close to them, he himself, he tells the story in Sahih al-Bukhari, after he's Muslim now. I could hear the Prophet ﷺ reciting Quran. وَلَمْ يَلْتَفِتْ. He never looked behind, he was never scared. But Abu Bakr was always turning around and said, he's here, he's here. He said, when I got close to them, and it was hard ground, rocks, he said, my horse fell into the ground, it sank, until all of his legs was inside the ground. وَلَمْ أَرَى إِلَّا أَنَّهُ دَعَى عَلَيَّ. I do not say except that he made dua against me. And I said, oh Muhammad, make dua for me, I will let you go. And his horse was freed. And he tried to go again, and he was sunk again, 2 or 3 times, until he said, okay, surrender. وَلَكِنْ أُكْتُبْ لِي كِتَابًا. And in fact, the 3rd time he said, I saw like smoke in front of me. I could not see anything. وَلَكِنْ أُكْتُبْ لِي كِتَابًا أَمَانًا. Write for me a contract, a peace treaty of peace, me and you. So the Prophet ﷺ called him. And he came. And he said, Suraqah, from that moment, I knew that his message was the truth. From that moment, I knew that his message was the truth. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said to Amr bin Fuhayra, Uktub lahu, write for him. Why does he say to Amr bin Fuhayra, write? Because ﷺ, he doesn't know how to write. And wrote for him a peace treaty between Suraqah ibn Malik and the Prophet ﷺ, that nobody is going to harm him. And they said to him, Uktum lana, hide our traces, don't speak about us. And he went back, Suraqah. And everyone he met, he said, قَدْ كَفَيْتُكُمْ مَا هُنَالِكَ. I have sufficed you. Whatever's there, I've checked, nobody's there. I've checked, nobody's there. The Prophet ﷺ, he continued, he went on. Tayyib. From the other things which happened during this journey, the Prophet ﷺ, they reached a place where they saw a tent. They saw a tent. And because they were hungry, again, you cannot carry so much food. They looked at the tent and they saw a woman sitting there. They said to her, what is your name? She said, my name is Ma'bad. The mother of Ma'bad. They asked, do you have any dates or any meat we can buy from you? Remember, Abu Bakr took all of his money with him. She said, no, we don't have anything. These are the real Bedouin in the desert, in the middle of nowhere. Where's your husband? She said, my husband went out with the sheep and the camels to feed them. Do you have any milk? She says, no. And they looked around the tent, they saw one weak, sick sheep. And the Prophet ﷺ said to her, what about that sheep? She said, if there was milk in her, I would have given you. But there's nothing there. And the Prophet ﷺ said, do you permit me to milk it? He said, go ahead, there's nothing here. So the Prophet ﷺ rubbed the udder of the sheep and he made dua. And this is the other miracle which made. And that sheep produced milk and milk and milk until all of them they drank. And they put a huge container for Ma'bad. When she saw this, she was amazed. She was amazed. And the Prophet ﷺ, he left. In the evening, Abu Ma'bad, the husband, came home, bringing his weak camels home. When he saw the milk, he said, Ya Ma'bad, what is this? She said, Ja'ana rajulun mubarak. There's a blessed man who came here today. And she told the story. And she told the story. And Abu Ma'bad, he said to her, Sifhu li. Describe this man to me. Describe this man to me. Who's this man? And Ma'bad, she said, and this is known as the famous description of Ma'bad, the physical description of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. قالت رأيت رجلا ظاهر الوضاء أبلج الوجه حسن الخلق لم تعبه ثجلة ولم تزره سعلة وسيم قسيم في عينيه دعج وفي أشفاره وطف وفي صوته صهل وفي عنقه سطع وفي لحيته كثاثة أزج أقرن إن صمت فعليه الوقار وإن تكلم سماه وعلاه والبهاء أجمل الناس وأبهاه من بعيد وأحسنه وأجمله من قريب حلو المنطق فصلا لا نزر ولا هذر كأن منطقه خرزات نظم يتحدرن ربعة لا تشنوءه من طول ولا تقتحمه عين من قصر غصن بين غصنين فهو أنظر الثلاثة منظرا وأحسنهم قدرا له رفقاء يحفون به إن قال سمعوا لقوله وإن أمر تبادروا إلى أمره محفود محشود لا عابس ولا مفند. And Abu Ma'bad, he said, هذا والله صاحب قريش الذي ذكر لنا من أمره ما ذكر. He said, this is the one Quraysh they've been talking about. A quick translation of Ma'bad's description of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She said, ظاهر الوضاء, this man, he was bright, clean, shining. أبلج الوجه, his face was luminous, his face was shining. حسن الخلق, he was extremely handsome. لم تعبه ثجلة, he did not have a protruding stomach. ولم تزر به سعلة, nor did he have a small head. وسيم, he was very handsome. قسيم, which means beautiful or well proportioned. في عينيه دعج, his eyes were wide. وفي أشفاره وطف, and his eyelashes were long. وفي صوته سهل, his voice had some raspiness to it. وفي عنقه سطع, his neck was long. أحور أكحل, his eyes were extremely white and they looked like they had been put kuhl in them. أزج, his eyebrows, they were in the form of an arch. They were carved and they were long, almost meeting. أقرن. شديد سواد الشعر, his hair was extremely black. إذا صمت, when he was quiet, علاه الوقار, he will be covered with aura and respect. وَإِن تَكَلَّمَ, when he spoke, عَلَاهُ الْبَهَاءُ, you would be filled with respect and honor, or you'll be amazed by him. أَجْمَلُ النَّاسِ, the most beautiful of all people. وَأَبْهَاهُ مِن بَعِيدٍ, if you saw him from far. وَأَحْسَنُهُ أَحْلَاهُ مِن قَرِيبٍ, and the most beautiful and handsome from close. حُلُّ الْمَنْطِقِ, his speech was so nice and sweet. لَا نَظَرْ, he was not short. وَلَا هَذَرْ, he did not speak very long or his speech was not much. He did not speak a lot. وَلَا هَذَرْ, he did not speak very little. He did not speak fast, sorry. كأن منطقه حرزات نظم يتحدرن. His speech was like a necklace of pearls which were falling one after another. لا تقحمه عينين من قصر. The two eyes will not look down on him because he was short. ولا تشنأه من طول. Neither will you find him that he is so tall. غصن بين غصنين. He was a man between men, meaning he is of medium height. فهو أنظر الثلاثة منظرا. Out of all the three men who were there, he was the most handsome of them. وأحسنهم قدرا, and I can tell he was the most respectable. له رفقاء يحفون به. His companions will always surround him. إذا قال استمعوا لقوله. When he spoke, they all listened to him. وإذا أمر تدابروا إلى أمره. When he gave a command, they hastened to fulfill his command. لا عابس ولا مفند. He was not frowning or refusing, meaning he was someone who was gentle. And Abu Ma'bad said, that is the man Quraysh are looking for. That is the man Quraysh are looking for. Also, from what happened during the journey, is the Islam of Buraidah ibn al-Hasib radiallahu anhu and his tribe Aslam. Buraidah ibn al-Hasib al-Aslami. They met the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He gave them da'wah and they accepted. And he told them, don't follow me now, come after in Medina. But when they came, again the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they're looking for him. He's under pressure, they're scared. He asked them, who are you from? He said, I'm Buraidah bin Hasib. He said, from what tribe? He said, Aslam. And he said to Abu Bakr, قَدْ سَلِبْنَا. Aslam, from peace. And he said, we have found peace. We'll discuss this. كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يحب الفأل. The Prophet وهو القول الحسن. The Prophet was optimistic. He loved good names because good names, they reflect on you. Bad names, they reflect on you. That is where someone will come to the Prophet ﷺ and it was called Harb. He said, La, you're not called Harb, change your name. That is what it is said, Ali ibn Abi Talib, he called Hassan Harb. And he said, no, he's Hassan. Harb means war. You call your child war. He said, no, he's not war, he's Hassan, good. Anyway, Buraidah bin Hasib became Muslim and almost half of his tribe, Aslam. When the Prophet ﷺ was close to Medina, Quba, he met Az-Zubayr ibn Awam. Zubayr and Talha, they were coming from Sham because of business. You know how the Quraysh, they had two trips, one to Sham and one to Yemen for business. رحلة الشتاء والصيف. So they were coming back and they saw the Prophet ﷺ migrating. And Az-Zubayr gave them two white cloths which they put on. Now in Medina they had heard that the Prophet ﷺ had left. So every day they would go out on top of their houses outside of Medina, outside of Quba, waiting for him. Until it will become very hot, everybody will go back home. Now again, their journey took longer than usual. Why? Because they went south first and they hid for 3 days in the cave and then they took the long route. So the people of Medina will come out, they would wait until the sun was so hot, they would go back home. Until even the Jews of Medina, they said, what are these people waiting for? One day they came out, they were looking, nothing, the sun was too hot, they went back home. We'll be finishing in 5-10 minutes. When they went back home, one of the Jews was on top of his house. He saw, because the Prophet ﷺ was wearing white and Abu Bakr was wearing white. And the Prophet ﷺ, by the way, he said, خَيْرُ لِبَاسِكُمُ الْبَيَاضِ. The best of your clothes is the white cloths. فَالْبِسُوهَا وَكْفِنُوا بِهَا مَوْتَاكُمْ. So you should wear it, and those who are dead, shroud them in white. This Jewish man, he saw, and he screamed, Ya ma'ashar al-Arab, O Arab, هَذَا جَدُّكُمْ. This is your Jadd who's here, the one you're waiting for. When we say Jadd in basic Arabic, what do you understand? Qusay. Who's the Jadd? Huh? The Jewish man said, هَذَا جَدُّكُمْ. This is your Jadd who've been waiting for. Jadd is grandfather. No, what is the other meaning of Jadd? Naam? Every day after Salah, you say, Allahumma anta as-salam, wa minka as-salam, tabarakta ya dhal jalal wal ikram, Allahumma la mani'a lima a'tayta, wa la mu'tiya lima mana'ta, wa la yanfa'u dhal jadd minka al-jadd. Jadd means respect, honor, someone who has a high status. Wa la yanfa'u dhal jadd minka al-jadd. Oh Allah, in front of you, those people who have respect and honor in this world, you won't help them in front of Allah. It's only your good deeds, al-iman wal-amal as-salih. So Jadd means someone respectable. The Jewish man said, هَذَا جَدُّكُمْ. This is the man you respect, you've been waiting for. And everybody came out. Now this is Quba. This is not Medina, Quba. Remember we said, most of the Muslims first, they stayed at Quba. And who was their Imam? Salim Mawla Abi Hudhayfa. We talked about this last class. Salim used to be a slave. He was their Imam because he knew the Quran most. Everybody went out to welcome the Prophet ﷺ. And the young girls were singing. And the children were running the streets. And the men came out in their weapons. And they were calling him, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Nabiyullah, Ya Muhammad. And the Prophet ﷺ, he came in with Abu Bakr. Now one of the things I forgot to say also, which happened, whenever they would meet someone on the way to Medina, you know, Abu Bakr was famous. We talked about this before. People knew Abu Bakr. They didn't know the Prophet ﷺ. So they would say to him, who's this man with you? And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said, هذا الرجل يهديني السبيل. This is a man who's guiding me in the way. So don't think this is just a man who's guiding Abu Bakr in the travel. No, Abu Bakr meant this is the man guiding us to Jannah. Of course, he cannot say هذا Rasulullah because people are looking for him. So even when they went to Quba, and the Prophet ﷺ, he chose the neighborhood of Banu Amr ibn Auf. He chose to stay there. In the house of Kulthum ibn Hidam. Kulthum is a male name also, you have to know that. Kulthum can be used for women and men. In the house of Kulthum ibn Hidam. People used to come and welcome Abu Bakr, Salamu alaikum, thinking Abu Bakr is the Prophet. Because Abu Bakr looked older also, even though he was younger than the Prophet ﷺ. Until when the sun became very hot and Abu Bakr took one of the cloths to cover the Prophet ﷺ, then they knew, oh, this is the Prophet. Those who didn't know him. And the Prophet ﷺ is still in the house of Kulthum and in Quba for 14 days, 2 weeks. And that is where the first masjid was built in Islam. There were private masjids, meaning like Abu Bakr had his own musalla at home. First masjid to be built for everybody in Islam is Masjid Quba. The Prophet ﷺ, he built that masjid when he was there during those 14 days. And people will come and meet him in the house of Khaythama. If I'm not wrong, I'll get the name tomorrow when you read the actual text. Because it was called Baytul Uzzab. The house of this Sahabi called Khaytham. That is where most of the Sahaba who migrated from Mecca, those who were single, they stayed there because Khaytham, he was single. I'll double check the name tomorrow. So in the daytime, the Prophet ﷺ will go there and meet everybody. And he left, now going to Medina. Today, Quba and Medina is the same place. But before, it was two different towns. Two different towns. The Prophet ﷺ, he left. And they asked him, where are you going to go? He said, Anzil ala Bani Najjar. I'm going to stay with the tribe of Najjar. Akhwal Abdul Muttalib. They are the uncles of my grandfather Abdul Muttalib. We talked about this in the first classes. Abdul Muttalib, the grandfather of the Prophet ﷺ. He is Muhammad ibn Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib ibn Hashim. Remember we said Hashim, he married a woman from Medina. Remember that, Abu Abdullah. He married a woman from Medina. And that is where his son, his actual name is Shaybah. They call him Abdul Muttalib, we learned after. He was born in Medina. When his father Hashim was the leader of the Quraysh in Makkah died, his uncle came to get him. When he came in with his uncle Al-Muttalib, they didn't know the boy, so they call him Abdul Muttalib, the slave of Muttalib. Because they didn't know the boy, not knowing that this was his nephew. Anyway, so these are the uncles of the Prophet's grandfather, their tribe, meaning from his mother's side. So he said, I stay with Banu Najjar, my relatives from my grandfather's side. 500 men from the Ansar came out with their weapons to welcome the Prophet ﷺ. And they made two rows, and he was riding between them. A real entourage, a real motorcade, a real guard of honor. Anas ibn Malik was a young man, he said, I have never seen a day when Medina was so bright and people were happier than that day. When the Prophet ﷺ came to Medina. And mind you, they did not sing طلع البدر علينا من ثنيات الوداع. No, they did not. Number one, there's no authentic chain for that. Number two, Thaniyat al-Wada' is from the other side. The Prophet ﷺ never came from Thaniyat al-Wada'. Number three, even those who narrated this weak narration, they never said there was duf and drums. Only Al-Ghazali, alayhi rahmatullah, he said that. But those who actually narrated this narration, they never mentioned drums. They said the women, they were doing this poetry. Whatever the case is, he did not come from there, they did not say this. 500 men were there, and everybody was drawn to carry the camel and said, Ya Rasulullah, anzil ma'ana, daruk. This is your house. Everybody would come to do that. And the Prophet ﷺ would say to them, خَلُّوهَا فَإِنَّهَا مَأْمُورًا. وفي رواية دعوا الناقة فإنها مأمورة. Leave the camel, it has been commanded by Allah. It knows where it's going. Leave the camel. Everybody would want to host him. Until the camel went and it stopped at this certain place. In a land which belonged to two orphans. And this land, they used to use it to dry their dates. After they plucked the dates, they would put them on the ground there. And the Prophet ﷺ said, أَيُّ دَارَ أَهْلِنَا أَقْرَبُ. From my people, Banu Najjar, who amongst my relatives, his house is the closest? And a certain man, a certain Sahabi who maybe you've heard his name is Abu Ayyub al-Ansari. He said, my house is the closest to Messenger of Allah, and it is your house now. And that place where the camel stopped, that is the land where the Prophet ﷺ is going to build the masjid, which we'll learn tomorrow. دعوا الناقة فإنها مأمورة. Leave the camel, it's been commanded, it knows where it's going. And the Prophet ﷺ said to Abu Ayyub, prepare for us a place to stay. Now Abu Bakr, he did not come with the Prophet ﷺ to stay there. He came with him, but he stayed another place, in the house of Kharija bin Zayd, where he's later on going to marry his other wife. In Sunh, a place called Sunh. Still in Medina, but just outside. The Prophet ﷺ, this is where he settled, in the house of Abu Ayyub and Ayyub. And he had 2 floors. His house was the ground floor, and then they had an upper floor. So the Prophet ﷺ, he settled on the ground floor. He brought food, he rested. People used to come and give salams to the Prophet ﷺ. You don't have to apply and do a background check and the background check of your father and your grandfather and bring your last 5 passports to meet the Prophet ﷺ. No, none of that nonsense. He was the most humble man. When Hijrah came, Abu Ayyub said to Ayyub, how can we be in a place where we are higher than the Prophet ﷺ? This cannot be. This cannot be. And while they were talking, when he moved, there was a container of water and it spilled. And of course, they didn't have floors which we have today, ground floor and water floor. It's just wood. So they feared the water is going to trickle down to the Prophet ﷺ. So they took their bed, the place they were sleeping, and they covered that with the water. So they had no place to sleep for the Prophet ﷺ. When morning came, they said, O Messenger of Allah, we cannot be above you. Allah. Look at how much respect they had for him. They said, it doesn't befit us to be above you. And he said to them, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّهُ أَرْفَقُ لِضُيُوفِنَا. For me to be here on the floor, it is easier for people to visit. Because if I was up there, everybody who comes to visit, they have to come up. When you want to bring me food, you have to come up. No, this is better for me. And the Prophet ﷺ, now he is in Medina. We're going to stop here for today. Tomorrow, inshallah, we'll continue and we'll learn. And that's the most important thing. The benefits. What do we learn from the Hijrah of the Prophet ﷺ? This is one of the greatest events. That is why our calendar, Muslims, it is based on the Hijrah. So you want importance of it. This is when everything changed. If you have questions, you come tomorrow. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك جزاكم الله خيرا والسلام عليكم